Hey guys, tonight we take a slow stroll through the cobblestone streets of colonial America, where lanterns flicker gently in the evening breeze, and the quiet hum of everyday life fills the air. Imagine the soft clatter of horse hooves, the smell of fresh bread from nearby bakeries, and a world slowly waking to change. You might notice how the brick walls glow in the fading sunlight, almost as if they are blushing at the end of the day, and if you listen closely, you might hear the faint squeak of a cartwheel passing by. Don't worry, you won't have to carry these carts yourself. You'd be exhausted before dinner, and we both know that. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Feel free to leave a comment about where you are and what time it is in your little corner of the world. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you take your first steps, your shoes brush softly against uneven stones that have been here since the 1760s, quietly remembering the comings and goings of colonial families. Lanterns hang gently from wrought iron brackets, swaying just slightly in the evening breeze, casting dancing shadows on the narrow streets. Somewhere nearby, a baker finishes stacking the last loaves of bread for the night, and the scent drifts lazily through the cool air, brushing your senses like a whispered greeting. Some of these streets have stories etched into them, faint hoof marks from horses long gone, perhaps still visible if you look closely, reminding you that history has a habit of leaving footprints everywhere. You wander past small wooden shops, their windows glowing warmly, noticing how quiet the world feels as the sun sets. The faint chatter of neighbors blends with the distant clink of dishes, forming a soft rhythm that almost makes you forget the rush of modern life. A stray cat curls on a windowsill, stretching lazily before disappearing into shadow, and you can't help but smile at its careful grace. Above you, the first stars twinkle shyly, steady like tiny candles in the deepening sky. Somewhere behind, a wooden door creaks just enough to remind you that people are settling in, preparing for a night as calm as this. Turning a corner, you find yourself on a slightly wider avenue, where stone paths are smoother and the breeze carries the faint sound of water from a nearby creek. Even the lamplighters seem to move with care, their lanterns glowing softly as if they too understand the importance of a gentle evening. You imagine a quiet life here, where letters are exchanged slowly, news travels at the pace of a horse, and people notice the color of clouds at dusk. Occasionally, you spot an old wooden sign, its paint faded, hinting at travelers who paused centuries ago. These signs endure quietly, almost like little witnesses refusing to leave their posts. A soft wind rustles the leaves along the street, carrying the scent of distant orchards and faint wood smoke. You think about how people in 1760 could watch the same sky and feel the same cool breeze, their lives moving deliberately, perhaps a little differently than ours today. Some nights, they say the sound of unseen horses echoes along these streets, a mystery whispered but never fully explained. You feel a quiet thrill at the thought, more curiosity than fear, and you chuckle softly at being spooked by invisible horses while strolling comfortably in this gentle evening. Continuing onward, your steps fall into a slow meditation, matching the lantern's soft sway. Shadows shift across brick and timber, moving as the night deepens. You notice the delicate carvings on door frames, tiny imperfections in the stones, and the way evening stretches, inviting deeper, slower breaths. The streets themselves seem to breathe with you, unhurried companions on this quiet walk through history. Somewhere, a distant bell tolls gently, marking time in a tender, almost meditative way. By the time you reach the main square, the streets have hushed, broken only by flickering lanterns or distant, softened voices. The fountain's polished surface mirrors the first stars, rippling gently as if breathing with the night. The calm rhythm of colonial life nudges your mind to slow, thoughts drifting like the soft evening breeze against your cheeks. Leaning lightly on a wooden post, you feel the town's steady heartbeat, patient and present. Shadows deepen, lanterns glow warmly, and distant sounds, hooves, murmurs, flowing water meld into a gentle lullaby, inviting you to linger, breathe, and embrace the unhurried, peaceful night. You glance once more at buildings lining the street, noticing iron hinges, carved window frames, and weathered bricks that have stood through countless seasons. It feels like stepping into a painting, moving slightly with each passing breeze and flicker of lantern light. You smile, realizing you are part of this painting now, walking slowly, listening, noticing, witnessing centuries of quiet life. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you laugh softly at how much quieter life was then. No phones, no traffic, not even a microwave beep to interrupt this gentle reverie. Crossing a small bridge over a quiet creek, you watch the water reflect the dim lantern light. The soft gurgle mingles with distant shutter claps, creating a serene symphony that invites your mind to wander. You imagine people of 1760 passing this bridge, their thoughts as gentle and meandering as yours. Some say the creek whispers stories from the past, murmurs of conversations long forgotten. You chuckle at the idea of the water, gossiping about centuries-old footsteps and fleeting lives. The final stretch leads you to the main square, where lamplighters complete their rounds and dusk softens the sky. A gentle calm settles over your thoughts, the town's quiet presence inviting rest. Centuries of stories mingle with the present, weaving a soft, soothing lullaby around you. You take a deep, slow breath, realizing this peaceful stroll has shown you a world long past and eased your mind into a gentle, serene state, perfect for drifting into the calm of night. The morning air in Boston drifts softly through narrow streets, carrying the subtle scent of salted harbor waters and freshly baked bread. You step carefully on uneven cobblestones, feeling the gentle warmth of the early sun brushing the tops of brick buildings. The town awakens slowly, the quiet clatter of shutters, the soft creak of doors, and the low murmur of merchants preparing their stalls form a soothing symphony. Wisps of steam rise from chimneys, curling into the pale blue sky as if the buildings themselves are breathing in the new day. A light breeze carries the faint scent of tea leaves and dried herbs, signaling that townspeople are beginning their morning routines, deliberate and unhurried. As you wander past familiar lanes, small groups gather quietly, their hushed conversations blending into the gentle hum of the town. Some meet for ordinary reasons, while others whisper about the day's tensions. Between 1765 and 1767, you might imagine citizens exchanging thoughts on the new taxes imposed by the British Crown, planning peaceful marches, or reflecting on the quiet strength of their community. Some historians debate whether tavern gatherings sparked the earliest protests. But here, the slow, rhythmic unfolding of life is all that matters. A playful thought crosses your mind. You probably wouldn't survive a day carrying all the town's news by foot. And that's fine. You have this gentle walk, soaking in every subtle detail. Along the main avenue, wooden carts clatter softly as merchants prepare for the morning market, baskets brimming with fruits, grains, and vegetables. Tiny movements animate the air. A cat stretches atop a fence. A child lags behind an adult, and a distant bell calls a few early risers to church. Amid these familiar motions, small, mysterious signs painted on boards or hung in windows hint at secret messages, quietly warning neighbors of approaching British officials. Some remain a mystery, even today, quietly waiting for someone to notice their hidden stories. Turning a corner, you arrive at a small square, where the first rays of sun illuminate townspeople pausing briefly in quiet conversation. The soft scrape of brushes against wooden signs mixes with the gentle hiss of tea being poured into ceramic cups in nearby homes. Warmth spreads through the streets, mingling with the salty harbor breeze, and you feel a calm patience, as though the town itself encouraged you to slow down, observe, and breathe. One slightly raised cobblestone underfoot reminds you that these streets carry centuries of careful footsteps, quietly shaping the rhythm of each step. Continuing toward the harbor, small wooden ships rock gently with the morning tide. Fishermen untangle nets and ready their vessels, each movement slow and deliberate, faces warmed by the golden sunlight stretching across the water. A soft laugh escapes you as you imagine navigating these busy docks without tripping over ropes, barrels, or a sleepy dog napping near the pier. The scene feels timeless, as if the world has paused just enough for you to observe and join its gentle rhythm. Across the water, faint echoes of early tax protests drift on the breeze, townspeople discussing duties on imported goods and clever ways to resist or adapt quietly. Along the quay, subtle signs hang from windows and doors, plain or cryptic paintings and sketches, carrying messages for those who know how to read them. Beneath the calm streets pulses a quiet resistance, a hidden heartbeat woven through the town's morning rituals. Continuing along a shaded lane, sunlight warms your back, illuminating the texture of worn wooden doors and the faintly carved designs left by long-forgotten artisans. The scent of fresh tea and bread mingles with the soft, earthy aroma of sun-warmed cobblestones. You imagine quiet conversations behind these doors, some about family, some about the growing unrest with England, and some about life's simple joys. A cat curled in the sun, a kettle whistling softly, a neighbor sharing a loaf of bread. These small, repeated moments weave together a tapestry of calm, settling over your shoulders like a soft shawl. Passing a small market square, merchants arrange their goods with careful attention, apples and root vegetables laid in neat patterns reflecting the rhythm of their hands. Subtle clinks of coins, the soft brushing of fingers across wooden surfaces, and occasional low laughter blend into a timeless melody. Discussions of taxation drift lightly in the background, present but unobtrusive, like a gentle note in a symphony. Hand-painted signs hint at upcoming inspections or shipments, adding a touch of mystery to the morning. You chuckle softly, realizing that even the most ordinary routines carry hidden stories for those who pause to notice. As sunlight climbs higher, filtering through narrow alleyways and casting elongated shadows along the cobblestones, you pause at a small fountain in the center of town. Its water glistens and ripples softly in the morning breeze. Around you, small gestures continue: a mother adjusting her child's hat, a baker arranging pastries, a sailor securing a rope on a docked boat, each contributing to a gentle, steady rhythm that mirrors your own breathing. The faint smell of salt and earth reminds you that this town lives between the pulse of land and sea, patient and enduring. In the final stretch of your morning walk, sunlight warms the bricks of narrow lanes, and small window boxes overflow with herbs and flowers. Shadows flick behind curtains, the faint sound of tea stirring reaches your ears, and the distant toll of a bell marks the hour. These gentle details blend into a peaceful panorama, inviting you to slow your thoughts and notice the quiet pulse of life. Somewhere along the street, a neighbor glances at a small painting, subtly alerting to recent events, a reminder that even centuries ago, people worried about taxes, but still found time for a calm morning stroll. By the time you reach the harbor again, the town hums softly with ordinary life, each sound, scent, and movement blending into a gentle melody. You breathe deeply, feeling calm settle within as you watch the ship sway. Sunlight warm the streets, and townspeople move with quiet purpose. In this serene morning, whispers of secret messages, small acts of resistance, and simple daily joys create a steady, soothing rhythm, carrying you gently along Boston's tranquil pulse. The morning sunlight warms the wooden floors of a small colonial home, and you step softly across the room, feeling the slight unevenness beneath your feet. The air smells faintly of dried herbs and tea leaves, a comforting mixture that invites a slow, deliberate breath. You hear the faint creak of a kettle as it begins to warm over the hearth, and somewhere nearby, a cup clinks gently against the wooden table as someone pours the first steaming liquid of the day. You lift your own cup, imagining the faint swirl of tea leaves, the comforting warmth radiating through your hands. If you spill it, don't you worry, we in a world where a little stain is just a reminder that life is cozy and lived slowly. Walking to the window, you notice the harbor outside, where ships rock gently with the tide. Some carry barrels marked with distant ports' insignias, and you imagine the sailors carefully moving cargo from deck to dock, their movements deliberate and unhurried. In 1773, you might picture the town preparing for the famous Boston Tea Party, the quiet tension beneath the calm surface, the sense of something unusual stirring. You hear stories of citizens loading crates of tea onto small boats under the cover of night, their actions deliberate yet precise. Some barrels of tea, people say, never reached the surface again, sinking into the harbor and resting under layers of soft silt, quietly waiting to be discovered. You smile at the thought that even today, a mysterious barrel might be lying somewhere beneath the gentle waves, telling no one its story. You step outside to a small garden, where dew clings to leaves, making them sparkle softly in the early light. The breeze carries the faint scent of salt from the water and the gentle aroma of herbs in the garden beds. You notice a cat moving lazily along the fence, its tail flicking slowly, and a chicken pecking carefully at the soil nearby. The town awakens gradually, each small motion deliberate. A baker arranging loaves on a counter, a merchant sweeping the porch of his shop, and a fisherman untangling nets with careful patience. Everything seems to unfold slowly, allowing your mind to settle into the rhythm of the day. Even the shadows of chimneys stretch lazily across the cobblestones, as if the town itself is yawning softly in the sunlight. Inside the kitchen, you watch the gentle swirl of tea in your cup, the aroma rising in delicate wisps. Steam curls upward, disappearing like a quiet whisper, drifting lazily into the room. Somewhere nearby, the soft scrape of a broom across wooden floors punctuates the subtle hum of morning activity. You imagine conversations in quiet corners, neighbors exchanging news of shipments, prices, or small-town gossip. Occasionally, these chats brush against the larger story of rebellion, whispers of taxes, duties, and acts of defiance like the Boston Tea Party. History lingers softly, present but never heavy, like a shadow stretching gently across the room. The utensils, teacups, and plates are arranged with quiet care, each item positioned to invite calm. You imagine someone lifting a spoon to taste the first sweetness of morning, warmth spreading slowly through the body, easing tension and settling the mind. A soft chuckle escapes at the thought of too much honey added by mistake, a reminder that tea in life is sweeter when savored without hurry. Outside, wooden docks creak gently as small boats bob with the tide, their rigging humming faintly in the breeze, a delicate percussion accompanying the quiet unfolding of the day. You wander closer to the harbor, watching masts reflected in calm water, the gentle ripple mingling with distant seagull calls. It is easy to imagine the careful movements of people shifting tea barrels during the famous night of 1773, each action deliberate, almost like a slow dance beneath the stars. Some barrels, the stories say, slipped quietly into the harbor, never to be seen again, resting beneath soft sediment, a secret preserved in silence. You feel a quiet wonder imagining history lying hidden just beneath the water's surface. Along the quay, the glow of lanterns reflects in puddles from a light morning rain. Footsteps tap softly on wet boards, ropes clatter gently with the tide, and the town feels alive yet unhurried, each sound deliberate, forming a kind of quiet meditation. Somewhere nearby, a sailor hums a tune that drifts lazily across the water, mingling with the soft breeze. Even amid small rebellions and acts of defiance, the town moves at its own peaceful pace, inviting your mind to wander and your body to relax. In a quiet corner, a few crates sit stacked beneath cloth covers. You imagine the hands that once loaded them, precise and careful, repeating gestures over and over, a gentle exercise of memory and skill. The faint scent of tar and wood mixes with the aroma of tea and bread, lingering softly in the morning air. Some townspeople claim even the gentlest breeze carries hints of the past, whispers of activity etched into the rhythm of the harbor. Moving into the streets, sunlight warms the brick walls, casting golden highlights and deep shadows along narrow lanes. A child runs past, chasing a rolling hoop, their laughter a gentle accent to the morning. You pause to notice the small joys, imagining life unfolding slowly, taking time to observe each detail. History lingers quietly, present yet unobtrusive, like a gentle current beneath everyday life. Toward noon, the town settles into a soft rhythm. Tea, bread, and harbor scents mingle with the faint hum of activity. Merchants arranging goods, neighbors exchanging news quietly, distant voices drifting from the docks. Everything unfolds deliberately, allowing the mind to rest, the body to relax, and the spirit to feel grounded in this peaceful colonial morning. Even the secret messages, sunken tea barrels, and whispers of rebellion exist within a calm, unhurried frame, waiting for anyone willing to notice. In this gentle morning, you feel connected to the town and its history. You take a slow sip of tea, letting warmth settle through your chest and shoulders. The world feels calm, the day unhurried, and your mind drifts with the rhythm of colonial life, ready for the soft adventures that lie ahead. The morning has unfolded into a soft, hazy afternoon, and you find yourself walking slowly along the edge of Boston's harbor. The gentle sway of the water mirrors the calm rhythm of your steps, and the faint scent of salt and seaweed drifts lazily in the breeze. You notice the sunlight reflecting off the ripples, creating tiny flashes of gold that seem to dance on the surface, as if the harbor itself is smiling quietly. Small seagulls glide above, their wings cutting softly through the air, and every so often a gentle call echoes over the water, a sound that blends seamlessly with the lapping of waves. If you lean down to the edge, the water seems to greet you quietly, coaxing your thoughts into slow, meandering paths, much like a lazy cat stretching in a sunny window. Scattered along the docks, wooden ships bob gently in the tide, their tall masts and neatly tied sails catching the morning light. In the 1770s, these vessels carried goods, letters, and whispers of politics from across the ocean. Dockhands move with care, their footsteps soft on the planks, ropes coiling smoothly in practiced hands. Each gesture is deliberate, measured, comforting in its predictability. A small wave laps at the dock's edge, and you imagine a child centuries ago leaning over the railing, dropping a pebble into the water, counting ripples just as you do now, connecting past and present. The air carries hints of the stories embedded in these waters. It is said that during foggy nights, the faint sound of a trumpet or a horn can sometimes be heard drifting across the harbor, a mysterious signal from a prince or ship long gone, or perhaps from a vessel that never existed. Locals whisper about these phantom notes, imagining the haunting music of a ghost ship moving silently through the mist. You smile softly at the thought, letting your imagination wander gently, and think that if a ghostly band of sailors decided to practice in the fog, they would be forgiven for the slow serenade that mixes with the calm of the harbor. The rumors are carried in the soft hush of the harbor breeze, like a lullaby meant to be heard only by those walking quietly along the docks. You step onto a narrow pier, feeling the warm sun on your shoulders and the slight give of the wooden planks beneath your feet. The harbor stretches wide, dotted with masts, small dinghies, and gently rocking barges. In the distance, warehouses and taverns line the waterfront, their muted colors softened by sunlight and haze. The air carries the faint scent of tar, salt, and freshly caught fish, a fragrance steeped in history. Near the pier's edge, a rope swings lazily in the breeze. You imagine a seaman centuries ago performing the same motion, smoothing it with careful hands, humming quietly as he worked. A quiet chuckle crosses your mind. If he had TikTok, perhaps he would be famous for rope swing tutorials. Looking across the water, small waves lap against the hulls of merchant ships, a delicate percussion harmonizing with creaking masts and the occasional flap of sails. Light shifts on the harbor's surface from pale silver to soft gold, as if the day itself breathes slowly, inviting attention to each detail. You hear faint murmurs from dockhands, merchants, and travelers, and you imagine the first whispers of tension over taxes and imported goods riding this same breeze, a subtle current beneath the calm life of the harbor. A small boat rocks gently, tied loosely to a post, the rope stretching and relaxing with the tide. You picture a family centuries ago, loading or unloading it with care, aware of each motion's effect on the vessel's balance. The sun moves slowly, painting the water with gold and rose, while the rhythmic rocking of boats lulls the mind into the harbor's meditative pulse. Reflections of masts stretch across the water, broken only by occasional ripples. The distant town hummed softly, bells mingling with the sound of waves to create a quiet symphony. Gulls circle lazily, dipping to the water before gliding back above. You imagine generations of sailors, watching the same sky, feeling the same calm, carrying cargo and letters, witnessing harbor secrets, and quietly laughing at ghost stories passed along the docks. The harbor is alive yet gentle, inviting your thoughts to flow with the slow rhythm of waves, wind, and distant echoes of life, a timeless meditation on the peaceful pulse of colonial Boston. Nearby, wooden warehouses stand quietly, their walls worn from decades of wind and salt, their shadows soft on the cobblestones. You notice small windows open to catch the breeze, curtains swaying softly as if breathing with the harbor itself. A faint sound of water dripping from the edge of a ship adds a gentle cadence, a subtle punctuation to the serene panorama. Somewhere, perhaps under the surface, a sunken barrel from a forgotten shipment rests quietly, waiting beneath layers of soft silt and secrets. The thought brings a small smile. Some mysteries are meant to linger gently, as unobtrusively as the tides ebb and flow. Walking along the water's edge, sunlight glances off wet ropes, metal fittings, and gentle waves, scattering a soft sparkle that shifts with every subtle movement. The quiet rhythm of the harbor, the lapping of water against wood, the distant calls of sailors and gulls forms a soothing, almost hypnotic melody. You pause, closing your eyes for a moment, letting the sway of the air and the soft hum of activity settle over you like a warm blanket. By the time you leave the pier, the harbor has grown still. The water mirrors the soft hues of the sky, ships sway gently as if breathing, and a faint, delicate fog curls along the edges of the docks. Calm seeps into your mind, carrying the stories of merchant ships, sunken tea barrels, and whispered echoes of distant trumpet calls, soft as the sea's lullaby. Walking back toward town, the warm glow of windows reflects off the water. The gentle pulse of daily life continues, and you feel the quiet reassurance that some mysteries are best left floating softly, unnoticed, but always present. The evening settles softly over Boston, and you find yourself approaching a small, quiet library tucked between the brick facades of neighboring homes. A faint glow emanates from the windows, the golden light spilling onto the cobblestones like a gentle invitation. As you step inside, the warm scent of aged paper and polished wood greets you, wrapping around your senses like a soft, familiar blanket. Shelves line the walls, heavy with books whose spines have been touched by countless fingers over decades, and the quiet rustle of pages churning carries a rhythm that slows your thoughts. If you happen to sneeze, the sound is muffled by the thick rugs and velvet curtains, leaving only the calm to linger. A small candle flickers on a wooden table, casting gentle shadows across the worn surface. You settle into a chair nearby, feeling the soft indentation of centuries of readers who have leaned here before you. The flame dances slowly, illuminating words that carry ideas of freedom, law, and the gentle sparks of early revolutionary thought. In the 1770s, These books and pamphlets traveled quietly from hand to hand among scholars and townspeople, ideas spreading like whispered notes in the hush of evening. Some texts were hidden carefully in attics, behind false panels, or even in damp basements, waiting patiently for the right eyes to discover them. You imagine a scholar finding one of these forgotten volumes years later, a soft gasp of wonder mingling with the musty scent of the hidden pages. The soft crackle of the candle reminds you of the hearth at home, and you notice the small dust motes drifting lazily in the light, swirling gently as if performing a slow, invisible dance. Every detail of the room, the curve of a shelf, the polished handle of a drawer, the slight unevenness of the floorboards, contributes to the comforting weight of history around you. You lift a book from the shelf, feeling its slightly worn leather cover, and imagine the thoughts of the reader who once held it in quiet contemplation. Perhaps they paused to sip a warm beverage. Perhaps they glanced at the harbor beyond the window, their mind wandering like yours now, gently connecting words and ideas with the soft pulse of the world outside. Walking slowly between rows of bookshelves, you notice faint notes penciled in margins, reminders of arguments or musings from readers long gone. Some of these marginalia hint at debates about liberty, taxation, and the distant rumblings across the ocean, but they are written with care and respect, like gentle whispers passed from one mind to another. The room hums quietly with the echoes of these past conversations, a subtle cadence that seems to encourage slow, thoughtful breathing. A soft chuckle escapes you at the idea that these scholars were quietly plotting the future, yet still pausing for tea and gentle reflection between their notes. In a shadowed corner, you notice a small staircase leading downward, its wooden steps worn and uneven. Legend has it that beneath the library, in a cool, dark cellar, books and pamphlets were hidden from prying eyes, kept safe until they could inspire readers long after. You imagine the faint scent of earth and old wood, the hushed stillness, and the careful placement of each precious volume. Some of these hidden books remained forgotten for decades, their knowledge sleeping quietly in the darkness, waiting for discovery. The thought that history can hide in such peaceful, silent spaces brings a gentle thrill, almost like a lullaby for the mind. Settling into your chair near the candle, you watch the soft shadows shift with its flickering light. The warmth of the room, mingled with the faint scent of wax and parchment, invites your thoughts to drift freely, unhurried, and unpressured. You imagine a scholar of the time, pausing to gaze out the window at ships swaying gently in the harbor, or lanterns flickering along cobblestones. Ideas of independence, justice, and curiosity float quietly in the air, mingling with the evening's calm. Somewhere nearby, the faint scratch of a quill marks notes in a journal, delicate and soothing, like raindrops on a tin roof. You run your fingers along the spines of books, noticing the embossed titles and faded letters, some worn smooth from years of handling. Each volume holds a story not just in its words, but in its existence. The careful printing, the hands that held it, the eyes that read and pondered, the thoughts that were inspired. In some forgotten nook of the library, a few volumes rest still, undiscovered for decades, waiting to quietly reveal their secrets. The gentle anticipation of their rediscovery feels like a soft, comforting suspense, a reminder that history often moves slowly, with patience and grace. The candlelight softens further as evening deepens, shadows stretching lazily across tables and shelves. The quiet hum of the town outside blends with the gentle creaks of the building, forming a soothing lull that seems designed to slow the mind. Occasionally, a soft breeze drifts through an open window, carrying the faint scent of salt and distant streets. You imagine the harbor beyond, ships swaying gently in the evening light, their motions mirrored in the calm rhythm of the library. Within these walls, time seems to stretch and settle, allowing each thought and image to unfold with measured tranquility. Pausing for a moment, you close your eyes, letting the warmth of the room, the faint crackle of the candle, and the soft aroma of aged books fill your senses. You picture centuries of quiet contemplation, the slow unfolding of ideas, and the patience of those who came before, their thoughts lingering in the air like a comforting melody. You smile softly, imagining someone discovering a hidden book years later, their heart lifted by the simple act of uncovering a piece of history that waited patiently. As the night deepens and the candle burns lower, the library seems to breathe with a quiet, steady rhythm. Every shadow, every whispered thought, every flicker of light contributes to the serene atmosphere, inviting your mind to slow, your body to relax, and your spirit to rest. The calm of centuries wraps around you, a gentle, meditative embrace. The afternoon sun bathes Philadelphia in a warm, golden light as you step slowly onto the cobblestone streets, each stone worn smooth by countless footsteps over centuries. The air carries a faint scent of baking bread and fresh timber, blending gently with the distant tang of the river. You notice the gentle sway of signs hanging from iron brackets above small shops, some weathered and faded, yet still proudly displaying hand-carved letters. Some of these wooden signs have survived since the colonial era, quietly witnessing the passage of time, and you pause to imagine the many stories they could tell if only they could speak. As you wander further into the city, the streets narrow and twist slightly, forming soft curves that invite slow, meandering exploration. Horse-drawn carts move carefully along the avenues, their wheels clattering softly against the cobblestones, a rhythm that feels almost meditative. Nearby, townspeople walk at a leisurely pace, exchanging greetings and occasional smiles, their movements measured and calm, as if the city itself encouraged patience and quiet reflection. You might catch the faint rustle of skirts or the soft shuffle of shoes on stone, delicate sounds that harmonize with the gentle hum of a city settling into the afternoon. Philadelphia, by 1774, had become a hub of colonial governance and the center for conversations about independence. You notice small clusters of people pausing outside shops or in quiet courtyards, perhaps discussing the latest letters from afar or exchanging news about political assemblies. Some of these conversations are carried with a quiet deliberation, voices low and careful, creating a sense of intimacy in the open streets. The city feels alive yet unhurried, its pulse slow and steady, as though it knows the importance of giving both its citizens and visitors time to absorb each moment. Along a shaded lane, you notice the subtle texture of old brick and stone buildings, their wooden shutters slightly ajar, allowing soft sunlight to filter through. A gentle breeze drifts down the street, carrying the faint scent of fresh herbs and flowers from small window boxes. You pause to run your fingers along a carved wooden doorframe, imagining the hands that shaped it centuries ago, hands that have long since vanished, yet left their careful mark. Somewhere nearby, a child laughs softly as they chase a wooden hoop, a sound that floats along the street and mingles with the gentle creak of a swinging sign, a quiet melody of life that seems timeless. Some streets in Philadelphia still retain wooden signs from the colonial period, their hand-painted letters and delicate carvings a soft reminder of the city's enduring history. You might notice one depicting a small tavern, its painted image of a fox curled around a tree now faded with time. You imagine the patrons centuries ago, enjoying quiet conversation over mugs of ale or cups of tea, their voices blending into the soft rhythm of the city. The idea that some physical traces of the past remain intact gives you a gentle thrill, a connection to lives lived slowly, deliberately, and thoughtfully. Walking along the avenues, you notice the Schuylkill River flowing gently, its surface shimmering with golden ripples. The soft lap of water blends with the distant clatter of workshop tools, forming a quiet symphony of daily life. You imagine boats drifting slowly centuries ago, carrying goods and letters, mirrored by the measured steps of pedestrians along the wharf. Occasionally, a gull glides overhead, its wings cutting the sky, adding a subtle accent to the city's calm, rhythmic pace. Turning a corner, You come across a small courtyard where the afternoon light warms the worn stone paving. A few benches sit beneath the shade of a flowering tree, inviting passers-by to pause and rest. A smell of fresh bread wafts from a nearby bakery, mixing with the faint scent of leather and ink from a bookshop down the lane. You imagine scholars and merchants alike pausing here, quietly discussing ideas about governance, liberty, and trade, their voices soft and measured, careful not to disturb the natural calm of the surroundings. The city hums softly, a gentle lull that encourages slow breathing and thoughtful observation. The soft shadow of a wooden sign swings in the breeze, its carved letters catching the sunlight in a warm, fleeting glow. You lean against a nearby post, feeling the subtle textures of weathered wood beneath your fingers, and imagine the city as it was in 1774. Streets alive with whispered conversations, small acts of trade, and the deliberate pace of life in a community, growing quietly aware of its role in history. There is a comforting rhythm here, a slow unfolding of days and nights that allows both ideas and moments to linger, untouched by haste. As you wander further, you notice how the narrow streets seem to lean slightly toward one another, creating small alcoves where sunlight and shadow mingle. The faint clatter of a blacksmith's hammer in the distance provides a soft, percussive backdrop, complementing the gentle murmur of pedestrians passing through the lanes. You pause to watch a small carriage navigate the cobblestones, its horses stepping carefully, the wheels making a soft rolling sound. The simplicity of these daily motions, each one deliberate, unhurried, and full of care, invites your mind to slow and your thoughts to drift. Passing a row of colonial homes, you notice smoke curling lazily from chimneys, drifting softly on the breeze. Families gather around dinner tables, their calm conversations punctuated by the faint clink of utensils, while the streets seem to exhale, carrying the warmth of countless small activities into the air. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the rhythm of Philadelphia's old streets settle into your chest and shoulders, easing tension and softening thought. As afternoon fades, the sunlight softens to a muted glow, casting long shadows across cobblestones and reflecting gently on window panes and wooden doors. The city feels timeless, each street and building a quiet witness to centuries of life. Walking slowly, you sense history brushing past, whispers of voices and footsteps shaping a nation, the calm of this old city wrapping around you like a gentle, reassuring embrace. The late afternoon light spills softly through the tall windows of a modest meeting room in Philadelphia, casting warm, golden streaks across the polished wooden table. You step slowly inside, your footsteps muted by a thick woven rug, and notice the gentle curl of steam rising from a cup of tea left forgotten for a brief moment. The scent of chamomile and freshly poured black tea mingles delicately with the faint odor of parchment and ink, creating an aroma that seems designed to slow your breathing and settle your thoughts. A small candle flickers in the corner, its light reflecting gently on the walls, lined with books and scrolls, adding a quiet, meditative glow. You smile softly at the idea that centuries ago, others may have paused here to sip tea and ponder the same ideas, though their thoughts carried the weight of a young nation yet to be born. The room is quiet, but alive with subtle movement. A pen scratching lightly across paper, the faint rustle of parchment being adjusted, the careful sip of tea from another cup. In 1774, such a room might have hosted the earliest discussions that would lead to the Continental Congress, where patriots whispered their hopes, ideas, and cautious plans. Some historians still debate whether certain drafts of key documents were written entirely in one hand, or were the collaborative effort of many, and the uncertainty only adds to the gentle intrigue of the scene. You imagine the careful gestures of hands moving slowly over papers, the quiet murmur of voices discussing liberty and governance, all wrapped in the calm intimacy of a room that holds its secrets like a well-loved book. You notice a small window slightly ajar, letting in the soft murmur of the street outside. The sound of distant horse hooves on cobblestones mingles with the faint laughter of children at play, creating a backdrop that feels both alive and serene. Outside, a gentle breeze stirs the leaves of a small tree, sending dappled shadows across the floor. You take a slow sip of tea yourself, letting the warmth spread through your chest, and imagining the minds of early patriots moving deliberately, quietly weighing the significance of every word and every idea. Even the faintest exhalation seems deliberate, a soft punctuation to the otherwise tranquil atmosphere. The table is scattered with papers, books, and quills, each positioned with care, as if the objects themselves were part of a slow, thoughtful dance. You reach for a small parchment and run your fingers lightly along its edges, imagining the care with which it was prepared centuries ago. Perhaps a scholar leaned back in their chair, swirling tea in their cup, pondering the phrasing of an important clause, or considering whether a particular idea might be understood by all colonies. The movements are gentle, almost ceremonial, each gesture deliberate and unhurried, inviting a soft, reflective awareness of time passing slowly in this quiet space. A few books lie open nearby, their pages filled with notes and commentary. You imagine someone centuries ago reading and rereading them, pausing to sip tea or adjust a candle, the flickering golden light illuminating their thoughtful expression. There is a calm rhythm in these motions, writing, pausing, sipping, considering. Outside, the city hums softly distant hammers, the shuffle of pedestrians, creating a gentle percussion that complements the room's meditative stillness. You let your mind drift, picturing the slow unfolding of ideas shaping the principles of a future nation. The idea that some of the earliest drafts of the Declaration of Independence were debated endlessly, with questions of authorship still lingering today, adds a gentle intrigue to the evening. You picture hands exchanging papers under the soft glow of candlelight, voices hushed almost to whispers, minds working deliberately and carefully. Perhaps a quiet laugh punctuates a clever turn of phrase, or a soft sigh accompanies the search for just the right word. The uncertainty of authorship feels less like conflict and more like a tender mystery, a subtle thread linking past and present, curiosity and contemplation. Flickering candlelight casts long shadows across the walls, softly illuminating maps and sketches of the colony's pinned boards. These representations of towns, rivers, and forests hold quiet significance, reminders that ideas and plans, however small, exist within a larger, living landscape. Outside the window, a single bird perches on the sill, tilting its head slowly as if observing the room, calm and curious. You imagine the early patriots noticing similar details, allowing themselves brief moments of wonder amid their deliberate, measured work. A soft draft brushes through the room as the sun dips lower, carrying the faint scent of evening and distant waters. You sip your tea, feeling warmth linger in your hands and chest, grounding you in the quiet ebb of thoughts and words around you. The gentle weight of history rests in the room, not as pressure, but as a subtle, reassuring rhythm, like a heartbeat pulsing steadily beneath calm waters. You let your mind float with that rhythm, carried along by the careful motions of pens, papers, and teacups, moving gently through the slow evening. As twilight deepens, candlelight becomes the room's sole illumination, and the shadows stretch across the wooden floor. Each sound, movement, and sigh of contemplation seems magnified in its subtlety, creating a comforting atmosphere of stillness and awareness. You imagine those early patriots resting occasionally, sipping tea, gazing at the harbor or streets outside, letting their thoughts drift between the practical and the ideal. In this quiet moment, the beginnings of a nation unfold softly, not in loud proclamations, but in patient, thoughtful reflection. You take a final slow sip of tea and set the cup down gently on the polished table, feeling the warmth settle in your chest. The room, bathed in candlelight, the faint scent of parchment and herbs, and the soft murmur of distant life outside, invites you to pause completely, to breathe, and to let the calm of early discussions and gentle sips of tea linger within you. It is a space where ideas float slowly, where quiet reflection matters more than haste, and where every movement, every thought, and every sip contributes to the serene rhythm of history gently unfolding around you. The sun begins its slow descent, casting a warm golden glow over the gentle hills of the colonial countryside. You step onto a narrow dirt path, feeling the soft give of the earth beneath your feet and noticing the faint scent of hay and naan, fresh soil mingling in the cool evening air. A gentle breeze carries the subtle fragrance of wildflowers and herbs growing along the roadside, weaving through the tall grasses that sway lazily as if in time with your breathing. Somewhere nearby, a horse grazes quietly, its soft snuffle blending with the faint rustle of leaves in the trees, creating a gentle symphony that invites your thoughts to slow and drift. You imagine a farmer walking these same paths centuries ago, his day winding down, perhaps humming softly to himself, a rhythm as calming as the evening light. The fields stretch outward, broad and golden, with neat rows of crops basking in the waning sunlight. You notice a small brook winding lazily through the meadow, the water shimmering softly, reflecting the sky's warm colors. Birds glide gently above, dipping and turning with the breeze, their calls soft and melodic, adding a delicate layer to the quiet of the countryside. You imagine the distant laughter of children playing, their small feet leaving fleeting imprints in the soil, mingling with the deeper, more enduring hoofprints of horses that have traveled these roads for decades. Some of these trails, people say, still bear the faint impressions of 18th century horses, hidden quietly beneath layers of earth, a gentle reminder of a time when life moved at a slower, more deliberate pace. A small farmhouse stands in the distance, smoke curling softly from its chimney and blending with the faint scent of fresh bread baking inside. You walk slowly toward it, noticing the weathered wooden fences and the patchwork of gardens surrounding the house. Chickens peck quietly along the yard, their soft clucks punctuating the gentle rhythm of the evening. In 18th century America, most families lived on such farms, tending crops, animals, and household tasks in a measured daily cadence. The countryside hums with this soft, unhurried activity, and you feel yourself synchronizing with its calm pace, your steps and breath falling into the rhythm of the land itself. Along the path, wildflowers nod in the breeze, their delicate petals brushing softly against your fingers as you pass. The soft orange glow of the setting sun reflects on the leaves of nearby trees, making them shimmer with warmth. You imagine travelers or farmers pausing along these very paths, watching the sun dip lower, sipping water from a small gourd, or adjusting their straw hats as a gentle wind ruffles their clothes. Even in the simplicity of daily life, there is a richness here, a quiet luxury of noticing, feeling, and moving slowly without rush through each gentle detail of the world around you. You come across a wooden bridge arching softly over the brook, its planks worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The water gurgles gently below, clear and cool, reflecting streaks of gold and rose from the sky above. You pause to rest your hand on the railing, feeling the warmth of the wood and imagining the stories it could tell. Horses and carts crossing carefully, farmers hauling produced travelers, pausing to admire the view or sip from the brook. The bridge seems timeless, a soft connector between the present moment and centuries past, and you allow yourself to linger, breathing slowly, letting the gentle murmur of water and wind fill your senses. A row of distant hills rises softly against the horizon, dotted with small clusters of trees that sway in the evening breeze. You notice the long shadows stretching across the fields, their shapes shifting with each passing moment, blending the natural world with the rhythm of time. Somewhere beyond, the faint bleating of sheep drifts through the air, punctuated by the occasional lowing of cattle returning to their pens. The sounds are delicate, harmonious, and continuous, creating a quiet orchestration that seems to guide your thoughts into a calm, reflective state. You follow the trail further, noticing how the earth beneath your feet retains the faint impression of hooves and wheels from years gone by. Some paths have been worn smooth by generations of horses, wagons, and feet, leaving soft, subtle grooves that speak of steady movement through the centuries. It is easy to imagine a colonial traveler pausing along this same trail, leaning against a fence post, feeling the breeze on their face, and observing the quiet life unfolding in the fields. You smile softly at the thought that the same air you breathe has carried whispers of history, faint but present, across time. The light deepens into a soft, rosy hue, and the sky gradually shifts to the delicate shades of twilight. Crickets begin their gentle chorus, and fireflies start to flicker among the tall grasses, their glow soft and intermittent, like tiny lanterns scattered across the fields. You pause for a moment to watch, letting the peacefulness settle fully into your chest, your arms, and your mind. Each sensation, the breeze on your skin, the soft hum of nature, the distant rustle of animals, creates a gentle lull that encourages slow, meditative breathing, a harmonious connection with the land and its history. As the sun finally dips below the horizon, the countryside softens into deep blues and purples, shadows blending into the gentle forms of trees and hills. You notice the faint outlines of farmhouses, their windows glowing softly with candlelight, and the subtle trail of smoke rising into the calm night air. The fields, the bridges, and the old paths feel timeless, resting in quiet patience as the day ends. You take a final slow, deep breath, feeling your body relax, your mind settle, and a sense of calm envelop you, as if the countryside itself is guiding you gently toward rest. Walking slowly back toward the village, you carry with you the soothing rhythm of fields, breezes, and centuries of quiet life, each step deliberate and unhurried, your heart in tune with the gentle pace of the land. The evening has offered a soft meditation, a reminder that in the stillness and simplicity of nature, one can find tranquility, reflection, and a quiet connection to the passage of time itself. The morning sun rises slowly over a quiet colonial village, casting soft, golden light across the square, where a few early risers stroll leisurely. You hear the faint, gentle rhythm of a fife drifting through the crisp air, accompanied by the soft tap of drumsticks on a small drum. The music is measured, unhurried, and soothing, a reminder that even in the practice of military drills, there is space for calm and focus. In the 1770s, these simple lessons for the local militia were carefully recorded, not as instruments of tension, but as guidance for community defense, designed to instill a steady rhythm in those who listened and followed. You imagine a young militiaman lifting his head, listening with quiet concentration, the notes of the fife threading softly through the morning air like ribbons of sound. The square is bathed in a gentle warmth, with sunlight reflecting off cobblestones and casting elongated shadows that shift slowly with the rising sun. You walk past small clusters of people gathering quietly, their conversations soft and intermittent, blending with the subtle music that lingers in the breeze. Horses nuzzle gently at wooden posts nearby, their soft nickers harmonizing unexpectedly with the fife's melodic tune. You take a deep breath and feel the rhythm settle into your chest, the gentle percussion and airy notes, creating a lull-like cadence that invites calm reflection. The village seems to breathe alongside the music, each soft footstep, each rustle of clothing, and each flicker of sunlight adding to a quiet symphony of everyday life. Nearby, a small group of young men practice slowly with their instruments, following the careful guidance of a seasoned player. Their movements are deliberate, their breathing synchronized with the drum's steady beat, each note rising and falling like a gentle wave. Some of the fifes and drums they use are replicas, while others are remarkably preserved originals, instruments that have endured through centuries to be played still in modern commemorations. The thought of these historical objects surviving so many years brings a soft smile to your face. Even in their quiet, measured music, the past whispers gently reminding you that some melodies can endure across generations without ever losing their tender resonance. You stroll closer to the training ground, noticing the subtle interaction between sound and space. The fife's high, airy notes weave through the larger, deeper beat of the drum, and together they create a rhythm that is both grounding and meditative. You imagine a colonial farmer taking a pause from his work, leaning on a fence, listening to this gentle cadence while watching the sun rise higher in the sky. The music is deliberate, not urgent, a careful reminder that even in preparation for challenges, one can maintain serenity and composure. You catch the faint scent of polished wood from the instruments, mingling with the aroma of early morning dew and the warm earth beneath your feet. As you wander along the edge of the square, you notice the subtle movements of instructors guiding their pupils. Each instruction is soft, each correction gentle, as if the goal is to instill rhythm and attention without causing stress. Some historians note that these first recorded lessons of the militia were as much about teaching, discipline, and focus as they were about preparing for conflict. You imagine a scene centuries later, with descendants recreating these exercises for ceremonial purposes, and the continuity feels comforting, like a softly recurring lullaby passed down through time. The sunlight shifts, casting longer shadows across the square and illuminating the fine details of the wooden instruments. The drum's taut skin gleams faintly in the morning light, and the fife's slender body reflects soft flickers of gold. Each note, each beat, seems to float gently in the air, mingling with the distant chirping of birds and the soft clatter of a cart moving along cobblestones. The rhythm feels natural, almost like breathing, encouraging your thoughts to slow and drift along with the music. You imagine a child leaning over the edge of a fence, listening with quiet curiosity, perhaps humming softly to match the melody, feeling the same calm that the soldiers and townsfolk have felt for centuries. In the soft hush between beats, you notice how the village itself seems to respond. Shutters sway gently with the breeze, laundry flutters slowly on lines, and small dogs stretch lazily in the sunlight. The music does not demand attention. It invites it, allowing each listener to engage with the rhythm at their own pace, discovering quiet joy in its gentle flow. You feel a sense of connection to all who have walked these streets, from young militiamen to modern visitors, each touched by the soft, enduring cadence of the fife and drum. A gentle laugh escapes you as you picture a modern observer watching these exercises centuries ago, perhaps imagining the same precise footfalls and careful notes as a kind of dance, not unlike a slow, synchronized waltz. The softness of this thought reminds you that history is full of quiet moments, small interactions that shape the passage of time in ways both subtle and meaningful. Even military preparations, when observed without tension or hurry, can carry a sense of calm and order, a gentle reminder that discipline and serenity can coexist beautifully. As the sun continues its slow ascent, the golden light fades into a warmer afternoon glow, casting long, delicate shadows over the square. The music flows steadily, softly touching every ear and eye, creating a lull in the day that feels timeless. You pause to listen, letting the airy fife notes and gentle drum beats wash over you, feeling your mind settle and your breath deepen. Every echo of sound, every careful movement, and every soft detail of the village comes together in a meditative rhythm, a serene tapestry of colonial life that invites reflection and stillness. You step back from the training ground, the soft rhythm of fife and drum lingering in your chest and mind. The sun warms the cobblestones, and the village exhales in quiet contentment. Walking slowly toward the square's edge, the music fades, leaving a gentle sense of calm, patience, and quiet joy to accompany your day into evening. The late afternoon sun bathes the market square in a gentle amber glow, casting long, soft shadows across the worn cobblestones. You step slowly among the stalls, feeling the subtle unevenness of the stones beneath your feet, each one polished smooth by centuries of careful steps. Some of the stones still carry faint impressions of shoes from traders long ago, silent markers of lives and conversations that unfolded quietly under this same soft light. The air is filled with gentle aromas, freshly baked bread, smoked meats, and the earthy scent of root vegetables. You notice the rhythmic clatter of wooden wheels from small carts rolling slowly over the stones, blending seamlessly with the faint murmur of townsfolk exchanging pleasantries and goods. Small merchants stand behind their tables, their hands moving deliberately as they arrange fruits, cheeses, and bundles of herbs. Each action seems performed with care, a slow choreography that encourages observation and reflection rather than rush. You pause by a stall, noticing the subtle sheen on an apple or the soft texture of a woven basket, appreciating the quiet artistry in these everyday objects. Some villagers stop briefly to examine a piece of cloth or sample a spice, their movements unhurried, as though they are participating in a gentle meditation of commerce. Occasionally, a child runs past, their laughter delicate and fleeting, blending into the warm cadence of the square. As the town prepares for the approaching winter, bundles of firewood are stacked neatly along the edges of the market, each log placed with care to ensure stability and order. The merchant's careful attention to their surroundings, arranging and rearranging items slowly throughout the day, creates a soothing rhythm that seems to echo across the square. You notice the small details, the tilt of a lantern, the gentle sway of a hanging sign, the soft brush of cloth as it is smoothed over a table. Even the sounds, the distant creak of a cartwheel, the soft murmur of a conversation, the faint clop of a horse blend into a gentle, almost musical background. In a quiet corner of the square, you see a cluster of barrels and crates, some labeled with chalk or paint, some worn smooth by years of handling. You imagine the traders of the 18th century, carefully unloading these goods, taking moments to adjust and inspect each piece, their thoughts focused on order and preservation. The gentle attention to these tasks speaks to a way of life that moves with patience, an almost meditative quality that you can feel as you walk slowly through the space. A soft breeze carries the distant sound of the river and the faint rustle of trees, mingling with the scents of baking bread and herbs, creating an atmosphere of calm harmony. You pause to examine the pattern of the cobblestones, noticing the subtle dips and worn surfaces that have been shaped by countless footsteps over the decades. Some of these marks are almost imperceptible, yet they tell the story of traders, buyers, and passers-by moving at a slow, deliberate pace. You imagine the feet of someone centuries ago, carefully stepping to avoid a spill of grain or a basket of apples, their awareness blending seamlessly with the rhythm of the market. The thought brings a quiet smile, a gentle recognition of the continuity of human life, where small actions and attentions ripple softly across time. A few townsfolk gather near a well, dipping buckets of cool water and speaking in low, calm voices. You notice the careful handling of the ropes and pails, the slow rotation of the wheel, and the soft splash as water is poured. Even the act of fetching water, essential and routine, feels tranquil in this gentle atmosphere. Birds hop along the edges of the square, pecking at small crumbs left behind by passers-by, their movements delicate and unhurried. Somewhere nearby, the soft clink of coins exchanged blends seamlessly into the symphony of small, rhythmic sounds that fill the square. Sunlight filters through the latticework of wooden stalls, creating shifting patterns on the cobblestones that change slowly with the angle of the day. You notice a bundle of dried herbs swaying slightly in the breeze, their subtle fragrance drifting gently toward you. The merchant's movements are unhurried, their careful hands adjusting each item with attention and precision, creating a sense of quiet ritual in the everyday transactions. A passerby pauses briefly to admire a piece of pottery, brushing it lightly with a hand to feel its texture before continuing along the winding paths of the market. Each small action contributes to the gentle, enduring rhythm of life here. As afternoon wanes, the market is bathed in a soft, warm glow, enveloping everything in calm serenity. Lanterns light one by one, their flickering flames adding a gentle rhythm to the scene. Shadows dance across baskets, barrels, and cobblestones, each subtle movement inviting slow observation. The air carries a faint blend of evening dew, baking bread, herbs, and the soft smoke of nearby hearths, a comforting aroma that seems to settle with you. Walking slowly along the market's edges, you notice how every figure and stall contributes to a harmonious whole. The rhythmic clatter of wheels, soft swish of skirts, the laughter of children, and muted conversations blend into a soothing lullaby of daily life. Even the centuries-old impressions of footsteps in the cobblestones seem alive, whispering stories of countless people who move deliberately through this space before you. As the sun's last rays fade, lanterns cast a warm, deep glow across the square. You pause at its center, watching the gentle, unhurried rhythm of trade and daily tasks continue around you. Each movement, each quiet sound invites reflection and calm. Taking a slow, deep breath, you let the warmth, light, and soft ambient hum settle within, wrapping you in a tranquil, meditative embrace. The market seems to breathe around you, its slow and steady rhythm inviting your mind to settle into calm. Every sight, sound, and drifting scent blend softly together, gently quieting your thoughts. Beneath the warm glow of lanterns, the village's timeless heart beats with a peaceful, enduring presence that draws you deeper into its tranquil embrace. The afternoon sun filters softly through the tall windows of a quiet study, casting gentle patterns on the wooden floor. You step inside, noticing the faint scent of ink, parchment, and beeswax candles lingering in the warm air. On a sturdy desk, scattered papers lie patiently, some with carefully written notes, others slightly curled at the edges, holding thoughts that were once quietly debated among a few thoughtful minds. You imagine the early discussions in 1775 and 1776, when ideas of rights and freedom were exchanged in hushed tones, deliberate and unhurried, each word weighed with care. Early drafts of the Declaration hold private annotations, subtle thoughts, and whispers of inspiration and hesitation from centuries past. Sunlight plays softly across the pages as you move closer, letting your eyes trace the delicate handwriting and imagining the gentle scratch of quill on paper. These reflections were not hurried. Each idea about liberty and governance was considered slowly, deliberately, allowing room for thought to deepen. You imagine a small group of individuals leaning over the same papers, sipping tea, or setting aside a moment to contemplate the next phrase. The room is silent except for the soft creak of chairs, the faint scratching of quills, and the occasional flutter of a candle's flame. Even in moments that would eventually shape a nation, there is calm here, a careful attention to the weight of each idea. A gentle breeze drifts through an open window, carrying the faint scent of summer fields outside. You notice the soft sway of curtains and the subtle play of shadow and light across the walls. Outside, distant bells toll slowly, marking the passage of time in measured beats. The notes seem to echo the rhythm of thought inside the room, deliberate, patient, and attentive. You imagine patriots walking slowly along the cobblestone streets, musing over ideas of rights and freedoms, pausing occasionally to watch children playing in the sunlight or to admire the quiet flow of a nearby river. Every element of this moment, from soft sound to subtle scent, seems designed to encourage reflection and calm, an environment where profound ideas can gently take root. The scattered papers on the desk hold traces of meticulous thought, small notes in the margins, delicate corrections, and the occasional question mark, suggesting a reconsideration of phrasing. You imagine that each mark, each annotation, was the product of careful deliberation, the soft unfolding of vision over time. Some drafts were preserved quietly, hidden away until their significance was recognized decades later. while others remained in private hands, holding secrets that would only be uncovered long after their creators had passed. The mystery of authorship and the unpublished notes remind you that history is filled with soft, quiet layers, waiting to be discovered by patient, observant eyes. Sunlight fades gradually, turning the room into a canvas of gentle golds and soft ambers. You step slowly to the window and gaze out at the quiet streets beyond, imagining the conversations and reflective strolls of those who walked here centuries ago. The distant murmur of voices carries lightly on the breeze, blending with the soft rustle of leaves and the occasional chirp of a bird returning to its nest. The world seems slow, deliberate, and expansive, inviting your mind to wander gently through ideas of freedom, responsibility, and the delicate architecture of thought that builds a nation. You notice a small inkwell beside a stack of papers, its surface catching the light in a muted shimmer. You imagine a writer dipping a quill slowly, carefully choosing each word, each sentence, as though the weight of time itself rested on their hands. Outside, the soft clatter of horse hooves on cobblestones mixes with the quiet wind, creating a rhythm that mirrors the measured pulse of contemplation within. A day stretches languidly, every sound and sensation contributing to a serene atmosphere where thought can unfold naturally, without hurry or pressure. Walking slowly around the study, you notice small details that speak to the life of reflection. A chair gently worn by long use, a small cup with faint traces of tea, a carefully folded letter waiting its turn to be read. Each object holds a story, a quiet whisper from the past, encouraging you to move deliberately, breathe slowly, and allow the gentle cadence of the room to guide your thoughts. The air itself seems to carry wisdom, soft and patient, reminding you that even profound change can arise from calm, deliberate reflection. The late afternoon deepens into early evening, and the light softens into muted gold and rose hues. Shadows stretch long and gentle across the floor, dancing slowly as the candlelight flickers. You feel the steady passage of time, a quiet rhythm connecting present and past, allowing you to sense the deliberate pace at which ideas once unfolded here. Each soft sound, each subtle motion, and each golden ray of light contributes to a meditative, soothing atmosphere. You imagine the first discussions about independence slowly shaping the contours of a nation, their weight carried in patient gestures and quiet words. Finally, you step back to the center of the study, letting the soft warmth of the light and the gentle calm of the space settle fully into your mind and body. The subtle scent of parchment and ink lingers, a gentle reminder of the careful consideration that went into every idea of freedom and rights. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling a gentle pulse of connection to the past, a sense of serenity, and a quiet admiration for the deliberate unfolding of thought that quietly, without fanfare, helped shape history. The room, bathed in soft, amber evening light, seems to breathe slowly around you, carrying the calm, measured reflections of independence that have settled across centuries. Each movement, the faint flicker of candlelight, the subtle sway of shadows along the walls, and the delicate creak of floorboards blends harmoniously with the soft murmur of distant voices and the whisper of history itself. Together, they form a gentle, soothing rhythm that invites you to release every trace of tension, to relax fully, and to feel the quiet, enduring pulse of thoughtful reflection and timeless serenity enveloping your mind, body, and spirit. The evening sky deepens into shades of rose, lavender, and soft blue as you walk slowly along the gentle banks of the Delaware River. Cool grass brushes against your ankles, and the steady murmur of water flowing over smooth stones blends with your own quiet breathing. The river stretches lazily, its surface catching the fading light, scattering gold and silver reflections across the gentle current. Centuries ago, it carried goods, messages, and travelers, even serving as a strategic passage during the Revolutionary War. Now, it moves quietly, reflecting clouds, trees, and the calm of the approaching night, inviting reflection and stillness. Along the river's edge, willows dip their slender branches into the water, creating rippling patterns that dance slowly with the current. Occasional birds skim the surface, leaving delicate rings, while a frog lands softly on a floating leaf. The subtle chorus of water, leaves, and evening breeze forms a harmonious lullaby, encouraging unhurried steps. Local tales speak of mysterious lights appearing on certain nights, flickering like spirits or lanterns from another time, adding a soft sense of wonder to the serene landscape. You smile, letting the gentle intrigue drift through your imagination, feeling fully present in the quiet rhythm of the river and evening. The riverbank is strewn with smooth stones and clusters of wildflowers, their petals swaying gently in the evening breeze. You walk slowly, pausing to dip your fingers into the cool water, watching how its surface mirrors the deepening hues of the sky. Centuries ago, colonial travelers may have rested here, setting down bundles or waiting briefly by the ferry, their quiet presence blending with the soft rhythm of the river. The gentle lap of water against the shore, the rustle of leaves in nearby trees, and the occasional chirp of a bird form a subtle, soothing symphony. Each sound, each movement, guides your awareness into the moment, encouraging your thoughts to drift with the slow flow of the river. The interplay of light, water, and breeze creates a calm, meditative atmosphere, inviting reflection and a serene sense of connection to the history and quiet beauty of this riverside scene. You continue along a winding path, shaded by tall trees whose leaves shimmer with the last light of day. Each step is deliberate, your feet sinking slightly into soft soil, while the subtle sounds of nature, an owl's distant hoot, the soft call of a nightingale, the rustle of small animals blend into a quiet harmony. Occasionally, a fish jumps, breaking the surface in a small, sparkling splash, and you watch it settle back into the calm water, a reminder of the gentle persistence of life along the river. You imagine the river serving as both witness and participant in countless quiet stories, carrying whispers of the past beneath its reflective surface. As twilight deepens, lanterns from distant houses glimmer softly on the opposite bank, mirrored faintly in the water. The scene feels both timeless and immediate, a balance of gentle light and shadow that invites slow breathing and mindful observation. You picture early settlers navigating these waters in simple boats, the paddle dipping carefully, the river's steady flow guiding them gently through their tasks. The calm water, the soft glow of lanterns, and the serene landscape together create a meditative rhythm, a lull that seems to slow time itself, drawing each thought into the gentle cadence of evening. Alongside the path, wildflowers release a faint, sweet fragrance, mingling with the earthy aroma of damp soil and river water. A soft wind carries this scent toward you, brushing lightly against your skin and ruffling your hair like a tender, invisible companion on your walk. You notice small insects dancing above the water's surface, their reflections flickering like tiny sparks, adding subtle movement to the otherwise serene tableau. Each moment feels expansive yet intimate, allowing you to slow completely, your mind and body harmonizing with the gentle rhythm of the natural world. You pause at a small wooden bridge that arcs softly across a quiet stretch of the river. The planks beneath your feet creak gently, and the water glides smoothly below, mirroring the delicate clouds and the deepening shades of twilight. You imagine soldiers crossing similar bridges centuries ago, moving quietly, their thoughts reflective, while the river flowed faithfully beneath them. The bridge feels like a subtle connector between past and present, its gentle curves inviting slow exploration and calm observation. You linger, breathing in the evening air, feeling the soft pulse of the water and the rhythmic sway of nearby trees. The final rays of the sun dissolve into muted indigo, and the river becomes a sheet of dark glass, reflecting faint stars emerging in the sky above. Fireflies begin to appear, their soft lights blinking gently among the grass and reeds. like tiny lanterns guiding your slow, wandering steps. You imagine the stories whispered along this riverbank over centuries, from settlers to travelers, carrying soft echoes of life, hope, and reflection. The quiet presence of the river encourages gentle, meditative awareness, each moment stretching into the next without hurry, and the flow of water becomes a subtle lullaby for your wandering mind. You take a final slow walk along the bank, letting the soft sounds of water, wind, and distant night creatures fill your senses. The river's calm, reflective surface mirrors the tranquility in your chest, and you feel a gentle sense of connection to the quiet passage of time and the enduring beauty of nature. Each ripple, each rustle of leaves, and each flicker of firefly light works together to create a peaceful, slow rhythm, inviting you to breathe gently and let the serenity of twilight wash over you completely. As the evening settles fully, the Delaware River stretches quietly into the night, a gentle corridor of calm flowing through fields, trees, and distant towns. You pause to watch the soft reflection of stars on the water, feeling the quiet wonder and subtle magic of the evening. The river flows with history and present calm, a quiet reminder that life's most meaningful moments often arrive, softly unfold slowly, and linger with a serene, unhurried beauty that invites reflection and gentle presence. The evening settles gently over the old town, and you walk along narrow cobblestone streets that glisten faintly in the soft glow of lanterns. You notice the welcoming facades of small inns, their wooden signs swaying slightly in the calm breeze, inviting travelers and locals alike to pause and rest. Inside, the air is warm and carries the faint scent of wood smoke mingled with herbs and baked bread. The glow of firelight flickers softly across rough-hewn beams and polished wooden floors, casting dancing shadows that soothe rather than startle. Some hearths in these inns are said to have been used continuously since the 18th century, their stones worn smooth by countless generations of hands and soot-coated logs, quietly holding the history of those who passed through. You step inside one of these inns and feel the immediate embrace of warmth. The soft crackle of firewood fills the room with a gentle rhythm, a comforting heartbeat that matches the slowing pace of your thoughts. Wooden tables, worn smooth over decades, are scattered around, with chairs tucked neatly beneath them. A small kettle simmers quietly on the hearth, the faint hiss of steam mingling with the subtle aroma of dried herbs. Travelers and soldiers from centuries past might have paused here in similar fashion, leaning back, letting the warmth seep into their bones after long, unhurried days of travel. Even the flicker of candlelight seems to move with a gentle patience, as if acknowledging the slow rhythm of comfort in the room. You wander slowly past the main room, noticing small alcoves where guests might have rested, their shadows soft against the walls. Firelight dances across polished pewter mugs and simple wooden plates, creating a soothing pattern of warmth and light. Outside, the faint sounds of horses shifting in their stalls blend with the distant chirping of evening crickets. You imagine soldiers pausing here on quiet nights, reading letters, or simply listening to the soft murmur of other guests and the steady breathing of the inn itself. Every detail invites calm awareness: the texture of woven rugs, the curve of a chair's armrest, the slow rise of smoke curling into the chimney. A staircase creaks gently as you climb to a quiet upper room, the worn wood responding softly to each step. A single candle illuminates the chamber, its light flickering across simple linen sheets folded neatly on the bed. You sit on the edge, brushing fingers lightly over the fabric, feeling the comforting weight of centuries in its gentle wear. Warmth from the fire below seeps through the floorboards, shadows shifting slowly across the walls. This quiet space feels timeless, a refuge where the hustle of the outside world and the distant echoes of history fade into calm dot from the window. Lanterns along the streets cast a muted glow, highlighting cobblestones and the subtle movements of evening life. The innkeeper adjusts a candle with deliberate care. Outside, the sounds of hooves, soft conversation, and wind weaving through chimneys form a gentle orchestra. You imagine the countless travelers who once paused here, merchants, soldiers, families each carried along by the slow pulse of life and the comforting constancy of the hearth. You walk slowly back to the main room and lean lightly against the smooth wood of the bar. The fire crackles with a soft pop, sending waves of gentle heat across the room. You notice a small collection of objects on a shelf: a carved wooden cup, a stack of well-worn books, and a tiny bundle of dried flowers. Each carries a story quietly embedded in its surfaces, whispers of quiet moments, of conversations and contemplations, and of simple enjoyment. The rhythm of the flames and the muted chatter of guests create a soft, meditative ambience that encourages every thought to slow, every muscle to relax, and every sense to linger gently in the moment. A quiet smile comes as you imagine a musician softly playing a fife or strumming a lute in the corner. The notes gentle, unobtrusive, blending with the soft crackle of the fire and the hum of calm activity. Even the steps of the inn's guests, soft on polished wood floors, feel like part of a deliberate, slow choreography designed to nurture comfort. Outside, the breeze carries the scent of evening air and smoke, gently drifting through open windows to mingle with the warm, herb-scented interior. Each inhalation invites relaxation, allowing a sense of security and warmth to settle fully in your chest and mind. The fire slowly dies down to glowing embers, and the room becomes a gentle canvas of soft light and shadow. You notice the rhythm of the inn itself, the creak of a floorboard, the soft rustle of blankets, the quiet sighs of rest settling across the building. The warmth lingers, infused with centuries of care, comfort, and gentle routines. You take a slow breath, letting the fire's residual heat and the peaceful atmosphere envelop you, as if the inn itself is breathing slowly alongside you. Stepping to the window, you watch lanterns blend with twinkling stars, the quiet streets bathed in soft gold and silver. You return slowly to the hearth, feeling the inn's gentle warmth and the whisper of history. Time slows, thoughts settle, and every sense is invited to rest. Linger and absorb the calm, peaceful rhythm of this quiet, comforting space. The old town inn, with its soft fires and gentle glow, becomes a sanctuary of serenity, a place where each step, each breath, and each flicker of flame reminds you to slow, to feel, and to rest. You sink into a quiet chair, letting warmth, light, and calm flow through you, carrying the timeless sense of safety and stillness that has embraced travelers for centuries, settling your body, mind, and spirit into gentle, enduring peace. The morning rises gently over the fields near Lexington and Concord, a soft mist drifting lazily across the low hills and winding paths. You walk carefully along a narrow trail, dew-laden grass brushing lightly against your ankles, the faint outlines of stones and warm earth visible beneath your feet. The mist softens the landscape, wrapping trees, fences, and distant farmhouses in a quiet haze that blurs time and place. You imagine the stillness centuries ago, the sun barely cresting the horizon, the land waiting patiently for the first signs of life. Even now, some old paths carry subtle impressions of footsteps and hoof marks, preserved in the soft indentations of soil and gentle curves of grass. Whispering echoes of the past, you follow the trail as it winds between tall grasses, each blade bending under morning moisture. The air is fresh and earthy, mingled with the faint sweetness of wildflowers along the path. Occasionally, a small bird flutters from branch to branch, its delicate wings brushing softly through the quiet. The landscape feels open yet intimate, inviting slow, mindful breaths, noticing each subtle movement of the mist, each gentle rustle of leaves. You imagine those who walked these fields long ago, their steps measured, their focus deliberate, thoughts drifting with the slow rise of the sun. A wooden fence emerges from the haze, its worn posts slightly crooked from years of use. Mist curls around each post, creating a delicate interplay of shadow and light. The cool morning air carries whispers of distant trees swaying in the breeze. Tiny details catch your attention. A spider's web glistening with dew, soft leaves fluttering, wildflowers peeking through the grass. Each element contributes to the meditative rhythm of the scene. A place where past and present coexist quietly, inviting stillness and gentle reflection as you move along the path. You notice small, subtle patterns in the earth. The outline of an old trail here, a depression in the grass there, hints of where people once walked and horses once trod. Some historians note that certain mounds and ridges in these fields still trace the shapes of movements from long ago, preserved in the land itself. You imagine following these paths slowly, each step connecting you softly to centuries of history, the gentle mist and morning light creating a serene bridge between past and present. Even without the urgency of conflict, the field feels alive with quiet memory. Each blade of grass a keeper of unspoken stories. A soft breeze carries the scent of damp earth and morning blooms. As you pause by a small creek running gently through the field, the water moves smoothly over smooth stones, reflecting the pale light of the rising sun. You notice the subtle ripples on the surface, the occasional small fish creating tiny disturbances, and the delicate swaying of reeds along the bank. The creek seems to breathe slowly with the land, a quiet companion to your own deliberate, unhurried steps. You imagine someone centuries ago pausing here, perhaps to rest or reflect, letting the soft rhythm of water and wind calm their mind before continuing along the winding trails. The mist lifts slowly, revealing distant hills and scattered trees bathed in soft, golden sunlight. Warm light touches the grass tips and casts gentle shadows across the fields. You walk slowly, noticing the textures of soil, the subtle dance of light and shadow, and wildflowers nodding in the breeze. Tiny dew droplets glimmer like miniature lanterns, each detail inviting quiet reflection. Your thoughts drift in harmony with the serene pace of the morning, soaking in the gentle rhythm and calm of the unfolding landscape. Along a narrow dirt path, a small cluster of trees forms a quiet canopy, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. You step beneath them, feeling the cool shade and noticing patterns of sunlight flickering through the leaves. The sounds are soft and meditative. A bird's quiet chirp, the gentle rustle of foliage, and the faint murmur of the nearby creek. You imagine walkers long ago pausing here to catch their breath, taking in the calm of the morning before continuing across the fields. Perhaps even their footsteps left subtle impressions in the earth, faint guides for your own careful steps. The path opens into wide fields, the mist lifting to reveal softly undulating land. Sunlight glints on dew-covered grass, highlighting subtle tones and casting delicate shadows. The fields stretch toward distant farmhouses, the slow rise and fall of the terrain creating a soothing, rhythmic pattern. Faint tracks in the grass hint at earlier travelers, as if the earth itself remembers each gentle passage. You take a deep, slow breath, letting serenity wash over you, each inhale drawing in calm, each exhale releasing tension, and allowing the quiet beauty of the morning to settle fully into your awareness as the morning unfolds. The mist lifts entirely, revealing a soft, clear light that bathes the field. The landscape feels timeless, quietly holding history while alive in the present. You follow the trail to the meadow's edge, where wildflowers sway and the creek mirrors the brightening sky. Each sound, movement, and scent blends into a gentle, meditative rhythm, guiding your thoughts toward calm. The subtle beauty of this peaceful battlefield invites reflection, as if the land itself softly whispers its stories, to those who walk with mindful presence, the morning mist and gentle light create a landscape that encourages slow, deliberate steps, calm breathing, and soft awareness. You feel fully present, carried by the serene rhythm of nature and the faint echoes of history, preserved in the curves of the paths and the softness of the grass. Each gentle sight, sound, and sensation works together to invite tranquility, leaving your mind and body relaxed, ready to drift seamlessly into the next quiet chapter of this journey. The morning light filters softly through a small window, dust motes drifting lazily in the golden rays as you sit at a simple wooden desk. A few neatly stacked letters rest before you, their envelopes worn at the edges, each one holding quiet thoughts from long ago. You pick one up gently, feeling the delicate texture of the paper beneath your fingers, noticing the faint scent of ink and time. In these letters, soldiers and civilians shared soft reflections of daily life, simple joys, and tender memories of loved ones, words written carefully, slowly, as if the act of writing itself was a meditation. Some letters never reached their intended recipients, quietly resting in a drawer or trunk for decades, carrying unspoken hopes and secrets that the world has yet to fully reveal. You begin to open one carefully, letting the soft crinkle of paper rise like a gentle whisper. Each line of handwriting curves with patience, each word chosen deliberately, carrying the warmth and rhythm of the writer's slow, contemplative mind. You imagine someone, centuries ago, pausing during a quiet evening, dipping a quill into ink, and letting thoughts flow gently onto the page. Perhaps a soldier at a distant encampment writes of the morning mist over a meadow, or a parent recounts the soft laughter of a child playing near the hearth. The letters serve as small bridges between hearts separated by miles, and even in their silence, they convey love, care, and the steady pulse of everyday life. The faint scent of lavender and herbs drifts from a small bundle nearby, mingling with the subtle aroma of old ink and paper. You pick up another letter, turning it slowly in your hands, imagining the moment it was written, the careful scratching of quill, the soft sighs, the occasional pause to reflect or smile. Outside, a gentle breeze stirs the leaves of a nearby tree, sending a rhythmic rustle that harmonizes with the quiet rustling of paper. Each sound, each movement, seems to reinforce the calm atmosphere, encouraging your mind to slow and absorb the serenity carried in these personal messages. You sit back and read slowly, letting each sentence unfold fully, as if the words themselves are stretching out time. The writers often included small details, a description of morning light spilling across a meadow, the fragrance of bread baking in the hearth, the soft creak of wooden floors, all captured without hurry, with careful observation and gentle reflection. Even the letters that were never sent hold this same quiet beauty, a soft meditation in ink, preserved through the centuries, as if time itself wished to keep these thoughts unhurried and whole. You smile softly at the notion that some messages were meant only for the pages, a secret dialogue with history that invites patience and reflection. A candle flickers nearby, casting soft, dancing shadows across the desk and letters. You notice the warm amber glow, highlighting the gentle curves of handwriting and the faint indentations where the quill pressed firmly against paper. Outside, birds call quietly in the distance, and the soft rustle of wind through nearby trees adds a gentle counterpoint to the rhythmic scratching of imagination. You imagine the writer lifting the quill, pausing to reflect on a thought, then resuming, each action deliberate and measured, creating a quiet ritual that honors the act of expression. You arrange the letters carefully, letting your fingers linger over the edges, as if absorbing the calm energy held within each fold. Some letters include sketches, small flourishes, or notes in the margins, adding a layer of intimacy and light humor. A playful drawing of a dog, a wry comment about the weather, a gentle tease toward a sibling. These small touches carry the same slow rhythm as the words themselves, a delicate reminder that life, even in history, carries moments of lightness and ease. You inhale slowly, letting the gentle scents and quiet sounds guide your mind into reflection and serenity. Outside the window, the sun rises higher, casting soft warmth across the wooden floorboards. You imagine the scene outside centuries ago, children wandering near a riverbank, the soft clip-clop of a horse in the distance, and the muted sounds of daily routines in a small town. The letters serve as a quiet accompaniment to these gentle rhythms, capturing personal perspectives in a manner that is unobtrusive, meditative, and deeply human. The world seems to breathe slowly around you, each sight, scent, and sound blending seamlessly with the soft unfolding of written thoughts. As you read, the layering of time becomes palpable. Centuries separate writer and reader, yet the pages bridge them. Each letter carries a gentle pulse, slowing your breath and settling your thoughts. Unopened letters, tucked away for decades, feel like quiet mysteries, whispers of lives lived with care, reflection, and subtle joy. The candlelight flickers lower, and the soft shadows seem to stretch across the desk, drawing your attention to the calm patterns of paper and ink. You place the letters down slowly, letting the stillness linger, feeling a gentle sense of connection to those who once poured their thoughts into these pages. The rhythmic breathing of the room, mingled with the faint outside sounds, creates a meditative harmony that draws your mind inward, each sensation contributing to a deep sense of relaxation and presence that the morning continues with a serene pace. The letters resting quietly as silent companions, their gentle words echoing softly in your thoughts. You feel the comforting calm of a world captured in ink, the quiet reflection of personal stories, and the soothing rhythm of deliberate, unhurried life. The soft atmosphere encourages slow breathing, gentle awareness, and a full sense of calm, leaving you ready to carry this peaceful energy into the next gentle chapter of your journey. As evening settles over Philadelphia, you step slowly through the heavy wooden doors of Independence Hall, the fading light casting long shadows, and feel the weight of history and quiet anticipation lingering in the air around you. The air inside carries a quiet, almost reverent warmth, touched by the faint scent of aged wood, worn stone, and flickering candle wax. You notice the gentle shadows cast across high ceilings and polished floors, where candlelight dances slowly on the walls. Each flicker seems deliberate, a quiet movement that draws your gaze, encouraging your thoughts to slow and settle. The hall has been witness to countless gatherings, some of them quiet, deliberate meetings that shaped history, and even now, a subtle weight of reflection seems to linger in the air. You walk slowly along the wide corridor, noticing the soft creak of your footsteps on the floorboards and the gentle echo that stretches into the stillness. On the walls, faint marks and indentations tell silent stories, subtle traces of centuries-old conversations, small scratches from hurried note-taking, and hints of clandestine gatherings once held in hushed secrecy. These remnants, nearly imperceptible, seem to whisper to you, inviting curiosity without urgency, encouraging a soft awareness of the human presence that lingered here long ago. You imagine the careful, deliberate movements of people discussing ideas, planning quietly, and pausing thoughtfully, all while the hall remained calm and unhurried. The candlelight flickers, sending long, fluid shadows across the polished wooden tables and high-backed chairs. You pause beside one of these tables, tracing its smooth, worn surface with your fingers and feeling the gentle curves that time has softened. A small stack of papers rests quietly in one corner, edges slightly yellowed and curling with age. Perhaps some of these were used for drafting ideas, notes, or quiet correspondence during early meetings of leaders who shaped a nation. Even the tiniest details, the soft click of a chair leg, the whisper of the wind through a slightly open window, seem to amplify the peaceful rhythm of the space. Drawing your awareness slowly into the present moment, walking further, you notice the subtle play of light and shadow across stone walls. The flickering candles create patterns that shift with the smallest movement of air, making the room feel alive yet gentle, serene yet profoundly still. You imagine long evenings when only candlelight illuminated these chambers, guiding careful deliberations and quiet thoughts. Outside, the distant sound of a horse's hooves on cobblestone, or the soft murmur of footsteps in the street, mixes gently with the warmth of indoor illumination, reinforcing the calm, deliberate cadence of life inside these historic walls. You move to a small alcove near the main hall, where a single candle flickers beside an old window. The glass is slightly wavy, catching the light in soft glimmers that scatter across the floor in delicate, irregular patterns. Outside, the evening sky deepens into soft shades of indigo and rose, reflecting faintly in the windowpane. Inside, the gentle warmth of candlelight contrasts with the cool whisper of the night air, seeping through cracks and joints, creating a serene balance that invites quiet reflection. You imagine the careful deliberation that once filled this space, the subtle tension of important conversations, softened by patience, thoughtfulness, and the slow, measured rhythm of candlelit evenings. The floorboards creak lightly under your careful steps as you explore another room, where wooden benches line the walls and a single hearth sends a faint glow into the center. The shadows stretch long and fluid across the floor, merging with the soft light of candles perched in iron holders. Each flicker seems to hold a story, a delicate imprint of hands that placed them, of conversations that paused and resumed in measured silence. You pause to imagine the gentle scratching of quills, the soft rustle of papers, and the faint whispers that once echoed through the hall, all preserved in the quiet ambience of the space. A subtle draft carries the scent of aged wood and faint wax smoke across the room, mingling with the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. You notice small cracks in the stone and plaster, tiny imperfections that hint at countless years of gentle use, careful maintenance, and slow passage of time. Some historians say that even these minor traces reveal more than words can express, subtle reminders of meetings held in secrecy, where ideas of independence and governance were nurtured with patience and care. You allow your gaze to linger on these soft details, noticing the interplay of light and shadow, texture and scent, all harmonizing to create a tranquil, meditative atmosphere. The hall grows quieter as the evening deepens, the soft candlelight reflecting gently on polished surfaces and casting a warm glow across your path. You walk slowly toward the center of the main chamber, feeling the rhythm of the room settle around you like a gentle embrace. Every detail, the flicker of flame, the subtle echoes of footsteps, the faint aroma of wax, wood, and parchment contributes to a sense of serene timelessness. The quiet presence of the past feels alive yet undemanding, inviting you to move deliberately, breathe slowly, and absorb the gentle energy of the space. Finally, you pause in the center, letting the calm of the candlelit hall envelop you fully. The faint shadows stretch across the walls, the gentle warmth of the light radiates softly, and the soft creaks of floorboards fade into a rhythmic quiet. You breathe in the stillness, allowing the centuries of thought, care, and gentle deliberation to wash over your mind. Each subtle sound and each dancing shadow invites patience, reflection, and a soft, meditative awareness of history preserved in serenity. The candle shadows on these old walls offer a gentle lesson that even profound moments can unfold slowly, quietly, and with the comforting presence of time itself. A gentle rain begins to fall over the quiet town, tapping softly on rooftops and rustling through the leaves of tall trees. You step onto a narrow wooden bridge that stretches over a calm, slow-moving stream, feeling the faint give of well-worn planks beneath your feet. The rhythmic patter of raindrops creates a soft symphony, blending with the subtle creak of the bridge and the gentle murmur of water flowing beneath. Some of these bridges date back to the 18th century, preserved carefully over centuries, their sturdy beams and worn boards holding the memories of countless footsteps. The rain enhances the texture of the wood, highlighting its gentle grain and the faint grooves left by generations of travelers. You pause mid-bridge, listening closely as droplets land in the water below, sending tiny ripples across the surface. Each splash is delicate and precise, echoing softly against the nearby banks lined with reeds and wildflowers. The scent of wet earth and moss rises subtly from the stream, mingling with the faint aroma of aged wood and rain-soaked leaves. You notice the reflection of lanterns from distant houses flickering softly in the water, distorted slightly by ripples, creating a peaceful dance of light and motion. The rain feels gentle, almost purposeful in its rhythm, as though it is guiding your steps and inviting slow, meditative observation of the surrounding scene. Along the bridge, small rivulets of water trace the grooves of the planks, catching the dim light and sparkling like tiny threads of silver. You walk slowly, letting your senses take in the muted chorus of dripping water, soft wind, and distant bird calls. The wooden rails beneath your hands feel cool and textured, offering a steady guide as you move at a deliberately unhurried pace. You imagine the bridge centuries ago, connecting travelers, merchants, and soldiers between the town and the surrounding countryside, their steps echoing softly against these same planks, the rhythm of movement blending seamlessly with the gentle flow of life. The surrounding landscape is softened by the rain, trees appearing slightly blurred as droplets slide down leaves and branches. Mist rises gently from the damp earth, curling around the base of tree trunks and the edges of the stream. You notice the occasional frog peeking from under a stone, a small ripple indicating its quiet presence. Even the distant hills are softened, their outlines muted by the delicate veil of rain. Everything moves slowly here, and you feel the calming effect of nature's rhythm as it harmonizes with your own. Steady breathing, you pause at the bridge's center, leaning lightly on the wooden railing as rain falls steadily. The water below mirrors the overcast sky, leaves drifting gently on the surface. Each raindrop creates a soft, rhythmic lull, calming the mind. You imagine the bridge's builders centuries ago, placing each beam with care, and countless travelers crossing it since, their steps adding to the quiet story held in the wood. The bridge feels alive, a gentle witness to time's passage, holding memories of both work and wanderers in its enduring structure. A soft breeze moves through the scene, rustling wet leaves and carrying the faint scent of rain-soaked soil. You take a deep breath, letting the cool, clean air fill your lungs and refresh your senses. Small ripples form in the stream below as raindrops continue to fall, their rhythmic pattern echoing softly across the quiet landscape. The gentle tension of movement and stillness combines to create a sense of balance, a serene awareness that your presence is part of a much larger, slow-moving natural rhythm. The rain begins to lighten slightly, the soft patter becoming intermittent, allowing more subtle sounds to emerge. You hear the distant toll of a bell from the town, the occasional call of a bird, and the faint sound of leaves settling back into place. Each note is gentle, a soft accompaniment to the continuing hush of water, wood, and sky. You notice the planks beneath your feet glistening, showing the gentle curves and lines worn by centuries of use. Some historians say that walking across these bridges is like stepping into a quiet dialogue between past and present, a rhythm of life that persists softly, without urgency or conflict out, as the rain slows further. The surrounding world seems to glow with muted colors, the damp wood of the bridge reflecting the subtle light of lanterns and the cloudy sky above. The stream carries smooth reflections of trees and clouds, gently disturbed by the occasional raindrop. You notice the intricate textures in the moss, growing along the banks, and the tiny flowers that peek shyly from the wet earth, all moving gently with the rhythm of the rain. The entire scene is a meditation in motion and stillness, a harmonious blend of elements that encourages slow, deliberate attention and a profound sense of calm. You continue across the bridge at a slow pace, feeling each step settle into the soft rhythm of the surroundings. The gentle sound of the water, the subtle creak of planks, and the muted patter of the remaining raindrops create a serene ambience, inviting your mind to drift peacefully. Each moment stretches into the next with ease, a quiet journey through space and time, where every breath is measured and every detail is appreciated without hurried dot. By the time you reach the far end of the bridge, the rain has become a light drizzle, the water flowing quietly beneath, reflecting the soft sky above. You pause one last time to lean on the railing and breathe in the delicate scent of wet wood and earth. The bridge has become a gentle companion, guiding you slowly across, offering a space for reflection, tranquility, and mindful presence. The sound of rain continues softly in your ears, carrying a sense of serenity and calm that lingers long after your steps leave the bridge. The sun lowers slowly toward the horizon, painting the countryside in gentle hues of amber and soft lavender. You walk along a narrow dirt path flanked by tall grasses that sway lightly in the evening breeze, each movement whispering quietly against the cool air. The land stretches wide and open, dotted with small farmhouses, wooden fences, and fields that have rested peacefully after years of change. Life here moves at a calm, steady pace, with the gentle rhythm of tending crops, feeding animals, and walking along familiar paths. Evenings are long and soft, allowing time for reflection and quiet appreciation of the land's beauty. You pause near the edge of a small meadow, where the grass bends gently under the touch of the breeze, and listen carefully. From the distant tree line comes the faint song of a bird, its notes soft and unusually melodic, carrying across the open field. Locals sometimes speak of these strange, unexpected birds appearing in empty fields, their calls echoing as if carrying stories from places unseen. You imagine the curious glances of farmers and children long ago, stopping their work to listen and marvel at the subtle, unexpected music of nature. It is a quiet reminder of the small mysteries that weave gently through daily life. A gentle path winds through the fields, and you follow it slowly, noticing the soft crunch of earth beneath your feet and the muted rustle of leaves in nearby trees. The air carries a delicate scent of damp soil and wildflowers, mingling with the faint smoke of a distant hearth from one of the farmhouses. Shadows stretch long across the ground, merging with the golden light of twilight to create a landscape that feels both expansive and intimate. Each step encourages slower, more deliberate breathing, a soft alignment with the gentle pulse of evening life. You approach a wooden fence that borders a pasture, running your fingers lightly over the smooth, worn surface of the rails. Beyond, a few cows graze quietly, their movements slow and deliberate, each chew of grass echoing softly in the calm evening air. Occasionally, a distant dog barks, a low, relaxed sound that merges seamlessly with the subtle chorus of wind, birds, and rustling grasses. You imagine the quiet routines of those who lived here after the war, repairing fences, gathering firewood, and walking along familiar paths that connect homes, fields, and barns. Each action moves at a rhythm shaped by patience, observation, and gentle care. The light continues to soften, casting a golden haze across distant hills and low-lying trees. You notice a small creek winding through the meadow, its water moving lazily over smooth stones. Tiny ripples reflect the dimming sky, and the occasional splash of a fish or frog adds a subtle, rhythmic note to the tranquil scene. You pause to listen, taking a slow, deep breath, letting the soft sounds of nature fill your awareness. Each ripple, each rustle of leaves, and each faint call of wildlife contributes to the serene melody of twilight. Walking slowly along the creek, you see wildflowers swaying gently near the water's edge, their colors muted in the soft light. The scent of damp grass and earth rises faintly, mingling with the lingering warmth of the day. You imagine people centuries ago, walking this same path at twilight, returning from the fields, tending their animals, or pausing to enjoy a quiet moment before the dark settles fully. Some may have stopped to watch the birds that appeared unexpectedly, or to rest against the fence, feeling the gentle rhythm of evening wrap around them like a soft blanket. The sun dips lower, and long shadows stretch across the fields, bending and curving with the contours of the land. The sky deepens to a dusky lavender, and faint stars begin to twinkle in the emerging night. The path you follow curves gently through a grove of trees, their leaves whispering softly as the breeze moves through. Occasionally, a strange bird call rises from the darkness, delicate and haunting, echoing across the open fields. You pause and let the sound linger, a gentle curiosity mingling with the calmness of twilight, reminding you that nature carries quiet surprises even in familiar places. You continue slowly, letting each step follow the rhythm of the earth beneath your feet, your breathing aligned with the soft pulse of the evening. The air is cool now, carrying hints of earth, leaves, and faint smoke from distant chimneys. You notice the faint outlines of farmhouse windows glowing softly in the distance, a warm invitation in the encroaching twilight. The land feels alive but gentle, each movement and sound blending into a slow, soothing cadence that encouraged calm reflection and quiet observation. As night approaches fully, the fields become softly muted, the last glimmers of sunlight slipping behind distant hills. The wind carries a faint fragrance of grass and flowers, and the strange birds continue their soft, irregular calls from hidden perches. You pause once more on the path, letting the expansive view of fields, trees, and distant hills settle into your mind. Every detail, the gentle sway of grasses, the muted hum of wildlife, the soft scent of earth blends into a soothing rhythm, inviting your senses to slow and your thoughts to drift peacefully. Twilight deepens into a calm, quiet night, with only the soft chirping of nocturnal creatures and the gentle rustle of leaves to mark the passage of time. You feel the serene energy of the countryside wrapping gently around you, the lingering traces of history, quiet daily life, and subtle mysteries creating a perfect harmony. The gentle pulse of nature invites you to move at an unhurried pace, breathe fully, and absorb the calm rhythm of the land, carrying a profound sense of peace into the approaching night. The evening air drifts gently through the town, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke and damp earth as twilight deepens. You wander slowly along a quiet cobblestone street, your steps muted by the soft cushion of fallen leaves and moss growing between the stones. From afar, the low, mellow toll of a church bell rings softly, announcing the hour with a calm, measured rhythm. The sound travels across rooftops and open squares, blending seamlessly with the soft rustle of trees and the distant chirping of crickets. Some of these bells have remained unchanged for centuries, their tones carrying the familiar cadence of evenings long past, echoing the same rhythms that guided townsfolk in earlier times. You pause near a small plaza, letting the slow, resonant tolls wash over you. Each chime carries a gentle warmth, a reminder of time's steady passage and the quiet continuity of town life. The soft hum of breeze through nearby trees provides a delicate counterpoint, forming a serene symphony. Lanterns cast flickering shadows along the cobblestones, moving in harmony with the bells. The effect is soothing, as if the world itself breathes slowly, encouraging patience and mindful awareness. The street curves around a row of old brick buildings, their facades touched by fading light. Windows glimmer with warm candlelight, reflecting amber across the worn stones below. A faint murmur drifts from an open doorway, hinting at quiet conversations, soft laughter, or the gentle clatter of cups inside a tavern. The textured walls, weathered and uneven, speak to centuries of human touch, each imperfection a testament to time's passage. Together, these sights and sounds create a slow, meditative cadence, grounding your thoughts and drawing your attention to the present. The bell tolls again, slower now, its resonance vibrating softly in the cool evening air. You walk toward the small town square, feeling the faint pulse beneath your feet as each note fades. Lanterns sway gently, flames flickering and casting elongated shadows across steps and doors. Occasionally, the breeze carries the distant laughter of children returning home, or the soft footsteps of a neighbor on a quiet path. Every sound is delicate, unhurried, perfectly attuned to the calm rhythm of the evening. You pause in the square, observing cobblestones smoothed by generations. The bell's lingering tone mingles with the evening breeze. Closing your eyes, you let the gentle harmony of sound, movement, and scent wash over you, filling your awareness. You can almost hear faint echoes of past evenings, townsfolk listening for news, farmers marking the end of the day, or travelers finding their way by the gentle cadence of these same bells. Each toll becomes a gentle bridge connecting centuries of quiet moments, creating a meditative rhythm that slows your thoughts and invites reflection. The breeze carries hints of blooming flowers from a nearby garden, soft and subtle, mixing with the earthy scent of cobblestones and faint wood smoke. Leaves flutter gently, brushing against one another, their sound delicate and almost musical. You notice a faint reflection of lantern light in a puddle formed by earlier rain, the image rippling slowly as a soft wind passes across the surface. Everything moves gently here, as though the town itself is breathing in quiet unison with your own slow, deliberate steps. The bells' rhythms and the soft, natural sounds around you create a sense of timeless peace, encouraging deep, steady inhalations and the kind of calm exhalation that settles the mind. A second bell tolls, longer and slower, echoing off the walls of the square and fading gradually into the soft hum of evening. You watch the shadows shift across the facades of the surrounding buildings, the light from lanterns creating patterns that feel almost alive, subtly moving as the breeze plays with flames and fabric. Some of these bells, historians note, have retained the same pitch and rhythm for hundreds of years, their constancy offering a quiet anchor in a world that otherwise changes relentlessly. You imagine past listeners hearing these same tones, feeling comforted by the rhythm and continuity. A gentle guide marking the slow unfolding of evening. The wind shifts, bringing a cooler draft across the square, ruffling your hair and brushing against your skin like a soft reminder of the passage of time. The combination of breeze and bell creates a delicate, almost hypnotic harmony, a quiet backdrop for reflection. You notice subtle movements around you, a cat padding softly along the base of a building, the gentle sway of a hanging sign, a faint glimmer of dew beginning to form on grassy edges. Each movement feels deliberate and unhurried, perfectly in tune with the ambient rhythm of chimes and wind. You continue along the street, following the sound of the bells as they fade gently into the distance. The lanterns flicker softly, the wind brushes past your face with a quiet caress, and the subtle scent of evening blooms and damp earth lingers in the air. The town feels alive yet unhurried, each sound, each movement, each soft reflection of light, contributing to a serene cadence that invites mindfulness and calm. You breathe slowly, letting the gentle rhythms of bell and breeze guide your awareness into a tranquil, relaxed state. The evening deepens further, and the last tolls of the church bell echo softly, leaving a lingering warmth in the cool night air. Shadows stretch and lengthen, and the soft breeze carries a hint of night flowers and distant earth. You pause for a moment, listening to the quiet symphony of small sounds, the rustle of leaves, the soft footsteps of nocturnal creatures, the fading echo of distant voices, allowing each note to settle into your mind and body. The town seems wrapped in a slow, gentle embrace, where every detail invites patience, reflection, and calm. Night descends gently over the young towns of the new nation, draping streets and homes in a quiet, tender darkness. Lanterns glow softly in windows, spilling warm pools of light across cobblestones and wooden steps. Walking slowly along a hushed street, you notice the faint scent of smoke from distant chimneys, mingling with the crisp night air. Each house seems to exhale in stillness, as if resting after long days, carrying the weight of history in a calm, deliberate rhythm. Though the streets bear traces of life-worn wheels, scattered tools, baskets left at doorsteps, they remain serene. The world paused in soft anticipation. Above, the wide sky stretches endlessly, sprinkled with stars glimmering like faint candlelight. You tilt your head, letting your gaze linger on constellations, imagining them whispering stories across centuries. Past generations have gazed upon these same stars, weaving myths, sharing visions, and drawing inspiration from their gentle light. Even debated details, like the first raising of the nation's flag, fade beneath this celestial canopy, replaced by a timeless awe, as if the stars hold the collective memory of a nation slowly taking shape. Continuing your slow walk, you pass narrow alleys and hidden corners where lamplight pools softly on stone walls. The quiet is punctuated only by a creaking sign swaying in the breeze or the distant ripple of a river. The night's rhythm is soft and steady, coaxing your mind to release the weight of the day. Shadows dance gently across walls, mingling with flickering candlelight within homes. You notice the texture of wooden doors, the curve of iron hinges, and uneven cobblestones beneath your feet, each detail whispering centuries of patience and care in the small town squares. Benches sit empty under the faint lantern glow, inviting quiet reflection. A gentle wind moves through the streets, rustling leaves and brushing against the tall grasses at the edges of town. The night carries a subtle chorus of distant frogs, the soft chirp of an owl, and the gentle murmur of the river beyond, all blending into a layered, meditative harmony that calms the mind and nurtures a quiet sense of peace. Along the riverbank, you see the soft reflection of the stars, mirrored in the gently rippling water. The surface shimmers with tiny sparks of light, tracing patterns as if the heavens themselves are reaching down to touch the earth. A faint mist hovers above the water, curling lazily over reeds and fallen branches, softening the outlines of the distant shore. You imagine families of the early days of independence strolling along this same riverbank, sharing stories, gazing at the stars, or quietly contemplating the possibilities of their young nation. Their presence lingers like a gentle echo in the stillness, woven into the texture of the night. You step onto a quiet bridge, its wooden planks cool beneath your feet and slightly damp with evening dew. Below, the river moves slowly, carrying faint reflections of lanterns, stars, and shadows alike. Each gentle ripple seems to echo centuries of quiet moments, the soft sigh of history blending with the natural rhythm of flowing water. The bridge itself, sturdy and time-worn, feels alive yet serene. A reminder that even structures built long ago continue to serve the present moment with quiet grace. Above, stars twinkle softly, as if whispering to the sleeping town below. Some townsfolk gaze from windows, imagining distant lands and heroes, while others listen to rustling leaves and flowing water. The night's calm spreads across fields, rivers, and forests, mingling with the fading rhythm of daily life, carrying all gently toward dreams and quiet rest. In the distance, you see the faint outline of a lighthouse or watchtower, its subtle light blinking softly, guiding eyes and footsteps in a reassuring rhythm. Each gentle signal contributes to the calm, a comforting reminder that even in darkness, quiet guidance and steady presence endure. The streets, the river, the homes, all of it, seemed suspended in a gentle, meditative pause, as though time itself slows under the soft glow of the night sky. Every detail encourages you to breathe slowly. Notice lightly and allow your awareness to drift peacefully. The wind carries the soft aroma of grass and earth, the stars glimmer above, and the town rests beneath a blanket of calm, quiet night. You feel the sense of history, wonder, and human care merging seamlessly with the natural rhythms around you, each element inviting patience, reflection, and gentle ease. As your eyes follow the slow dance of stars and the soft flicker of distant lanterns, peace seems to flow from the quiet town into the surrounding countryside. Fields stretch wide, alive with the subtle movements of night creatures and whispering grasses. The river glides smoothly, reflecting soft light and carrying gentle ripples downstream like a lullaby for the land. Breezes weave through trees, rustling leaves with delicate grace, while the night sky sparkles with untold stories, guiding your mind toward quiet wonder. Inside, townsfolk rest, candlelight flickering gently, and even the oldest streets seem to breathe. Your body feels lighter, breath syncing with wind and water, as cool air, soft sounds, and faint aromas soothe your thoughts and untangle tension, fostering a profound, serene ease. Imagine the stars above as quiet companions, twinkling softly, while the gentle river mirrors their light in calm, slow waves. Night hums around you, rustling leaves, distant owls, and the soft movement of air across open fields, wrapping you in a warm, peaceful blanket. Your mind softens, senses relax, and a gentle heaviness settles over your eyelids. From lantern-lit streets to distant meadows and quiet harbors, the land shares in this serene night. Each breath follows a slow, steady rhythm, carrying you toward dreams. Let your body sink, your mind rest, and the quiet stars guide you into deep, gentle sleep. Good night, and awaken refreshed for the next story.